All right.
Go
We're up
hit
and
this
running.
button. Good morning, LinkedIn. Happy Friday. Um, it's been an exciting week, as always, in AI terms, and we're about to just dig in with Nico. How you doing, man?
Doing well, sir. Yeah, it's been an amazing week.
Man, you and George have been killing me every day, just mind melting new stuff that it's hard to underestimate or hard to overestimate how
Oh
fast
yeah.
AI is moving right now. And so lots to chat about. And I've got a special announcement later on that we'll get to about how we could, like, we can't do it justice talking about once a week, right? So
Right. Right.
we'll get to some of that fun stuff. But today, we got some permissions to show off the agent builder that Dharmesh announced at Inbound. Nico's gotten to the beta, hasn't done a ton with it yet. So we're doing a true unboxing, which is my favorite kind of content, real life, right? We're about to show, and I'm still expecting pretty great results, honestly. Like, it's been fun to unbox this stuff, and like, I expect to have some pretty uh mind melting reactions as we dig into this. So whenever you're ready, man.
For thing. Yeah, I know that everybody is well, I don't want to say everybody, but I know that people who are fans of AI, fans of what's going on, fans of what's coming out next and the idea behind agents, you're going to love this. Um so yeah, as Chris mentioned, we I finally got access. I was very lucky in order to do so, but got access to Agent Builder and am loving it. Loving the way that it's set up. It is it is very much like it is as much of a no code solution that as you would think. You can get more in depth with it, but you can do a lot just by clicking around. So last week we went over, the featured agents that they have, and talked about the fact that you can add them to a team, kind of work with them that way. And so I'm not saying that, like, I can tell you this much. Again, I got special access to this. It's very limited right now. The number of people who even have access to build is very limited. So it's unfortunate in that way. I'm not sure when it's going to roll out to more people, and I want to say it's mainly because we're trying to break it. Like, we're trying to do all sorts of stuff with it, trying to make it do stuff it should, try to make it do stuff it shouldn't, just to beta test it or alpha test it, if you will, and help the guys out that are designing this. You know, definitely want to give a huge shout out to the team over at Agent AI. Sam, I know going to butcher your last name, man. Uh, I'm not even going to try it.
Yeah, just
Sam
Sam,
M.
first letter. Yep,
Yeah,
that
Sam
works.
M. I'll go with Molly, right? Malli. Um, he is sorry, he is the prince. I don't want to say like the principal um product person, but like if you wanted to know more about Agent AI and like the details behind it and what it can do and all that kind of thing, definitely the person that you want to go to, and definitely the person that you want to talk to about it. And then also Mike, gosh, I can't remember, Redboard. Yeah. Um, Mike Redboard is one of the guys that we talked to. He gave us the demo and the walkthrough on it. Another very cool guy at Agent AI to talk with, just to, again, to talk about the software. I'm not saying that that will get you anywhere knowing those guys or talking to them. I absolutely am not saying that that will do anything for you. But again, it's just people that you should talk to if you wanted to know some inside stuff.
We
So
appreciate the transparency, sir.
yeah, just, doing what I can.
Yeah.
Um, so in the builder you'll see, or when you get access to the builder, you'll see it's really simple interface. You can see uh, other people's agents that they're building out, and obviously you have access to your own. and clearly you can't, go and edit somebody else's. Likewise, mine are set to private, so other people can't run them either. But let's go into the editor. And so in the editor, you create a name when you first start it up. Give your agent a name. You give it a little bit of a description as to what it's supposed to do. You can give it a username for people to be able to call that agent. You can enable agent email, which will essentially, uh, yeah, gives you a means of somebody to be able to both send messages to the agent and for the agent to be able to send messages to someone else. So it has its own email address that it can use to send email. Like if you can have it draft an email and send it to someone. Normally you'd have to use Zapier to do something like that. So that's what the purpose of this platform is to kind of just like incorporate all of that and bring all of those API connections into this, but to also combine it with the capabilities of not only the additional agents that are available here, but also allow you to do your own prompting, create, your own sort of like fantasy world of what you could do with an AI.
Yeah.
Definitely takes custom GPTs to like the ultimate level. Let's put it that
Can
way.
you can you zoom in just a little bit for
Oh
us?
yeah, sorry,
There you
sorry.
go. Yeah.
I know I always work at a bit of a higher resolution. So yeah, so we've got the URL as well. If you wanted to have somebody, if you wanted to link somebody directly to your agent to be able to use it, and then again, here's your agent via email that you can have. You have your icon specifically for the agent. You can either select one or you can make one and upload it. They're pretty, the ones they have are pretty decent and actually pretty cool. Agent status, you can make it public if you want to. You can do the same thing as custom GPT. It's either like open public via URL. Approximate runtime is essentially how long, so far as I have seen it. I'll have to ask Mike about it. I've played with this for literally a total of probably an hour and 10 minutes or so. So I don't know all of the ins and outs, but that's why, as Chris told you guys, it's a true unboxing. Very much almost looking at this for the first time, despite what the smart flow looks like. Don't let that fool you. So, approximate runtime, as far as I understand it, and as I've tested this, it basically tells it how long to run before producing results or before kicking back results. So that's, at least that's how I've seen it operate. I don't know if that's 1 minute, meant to be 1 minute per operation or something like that, but that's how I've experienced it so far. Tags, I guess for what this type of agent is for, it's actually for marketing. Okay, and then your next bit is your triggers. And so your trigger can be manual, where you run it manually. Could be a daily trigger where it's scheduled out. So, okay, what's the purpose of that? What if, imagine, you don't have to imagine, every day that you wake up, your email inbox is effing crammed, right? Even if you were using Google Summary, you'd have to go summarize each individual email. You got to click into it, then summarize it, then wait for the summary, then blah, 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 blah. Okay. But with these agents, I'm not saying you could do it now. It's definitely, actually, you could do it now if you really know what you're doing. But very soon you'll be able to do it in a much simpler way. Might even be possible now, to be honest with you, that you could have it go to your email inbox, look at your newest unread messages, and then bring you a summary of what your unread messages are. So it's not even like that you'd have to go do it individually. It's just like, hey, here's the summary. Here's a 1 or 2 sentence summary of what's in email one. Here's the same thing for email 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's like you don't even have to check your inbox. And again, you can schedule that so that it hits you before you even have to do anything else. Right.
Can it click the spam button for me?
I don't know
Like
about that.
classify
I
that
don't
this
know.
email was spam.
Don't
Uh,
know. That'd be
but yeah,
great.
man, that I love that use case because that's exactly like, whenever I was trying to get to inbox zero, which I've given on that up on that. Uh, you set these blocks, like block scheduling makes sense. Like, okay, I don't want to be beholden to my email inbox. So I'm going to
Hmm.
set these like little 20-minute, 30-minute blocks, like maybe a couple times where I'm going to have the willpower and the discipline to go and actually check my email and respond in that block. Guess
Right.
what? I never did that. So I never got to inbox zero. Having like thinking about those blocks as like this is when the agent's gonna do the same thing that I was hoping I could do and just never happened. Right.
Yeah. Here's one for you. I'm not saying that I use this. I'm not saying I would ever. I will test it, so you're gonna see it happen on my LinkedIn. But as it doesn't it's like here's what the LinkedIn algorithm is, right? It's like you have to consistently post per day, right? So I'm gonna create 5 LinkedIn agents, and each one is going to be scheduled to post at a particular time. And it can take the action. I'm not even joking. It can take the action of going and doing the research on the topic that I wanted to. So I can have the first bot focus on latest news from OpenAI. I can have the second one focus on latest news related to AI research and development. Have the third one go to latest AI breakthroughs in medical, on and on and on. When it goes to do that research, it'll then go over to Claude. Claude's going to format that and put it into some type of a social post that fits in the style that I want it to fit. Or I can go leverage another agent to do the social post for me, one way or the other. Then I'm going to take that social post, connect it to my LinkedIn, and just have it post it. And so I've got these 5 bots that auto post, and I can schedule them so that one of them auto posts at 6, the other one auto posts at 11, the other one auto posts at 3 in the afternoon, the other one does it at 6 in the afternoon, right? So, like in terms of like what how scheduling is important, you could have it do a weekly email, right? Weekly email roundup. So, hey, all the stuff that I talked about with clients last week, go bring all my emails from last week. Give me the summaries. Give me what the task and to do items are that I need to look at for this week. Give me what I need to review for this week, right? You can query against all of that data. Um, so if it's HubSpot contact added, you obviously you guys you know what goes on there. Contact gets added, you can have it trigger off that. We can do a lot of smart flow stuff where we're enhancing the information that came in about that contact or trying to enhance that record based off of it. Same thing for company. And then webhook post would be if you're working with webhooks and again you wanted to send a webhook to the bot itself, or maybe you have another bot that runs a schedule that also sends a webhook to your different bot that then does some sort of command. You know, it's just another method of connectivity that's very awesome.
Yeah. And like man, another great use case, but don't get it twisted, people. This doesn't mean you're free of using LinkedIn. Like
Right.
it gets you, it allows for the thing you actually want to do, which is the engagement, the commenting, like, and we can never get there because we don't make the posts, we don't show up consistently, right?
Hmm.
So this is where people get the automation wrong in terms of, oh, if you're not there to respond when somebody else engages with the post, then don't even post, right? Like
Right.
it's noise, right? Because they are going to engage with you if it is, we're assuming in these cases, like the social media posts are not spam, they're not product promotion, it's not just like
Hmm.
noise throwing at the market. It's still insightful value that you're using
Hmm.
AI to help deliver that value. But no matter how valuable it is, if somebody engages with a question and you're not there to respond, and this is where you might think you might be able to use AI, but it's the last place that you should try to do it because they're looking for, they got value from you, and they want to have a conversation now, right? And that's where you can have the time to do that because you didn't have to spend the time creating the calendar, making the posts, and you can just be there once it's engagement time, right?
Yeah. And I mean, think about the idea of, let's say I don't know that this is possible just yet, but I'm just, look, it's things like in the future, being able to do some type of connection, which I know that it does actually. There is a SparkFlow connection for this, so it might actually be possible. But in the future, to be able to, hey, I'm done writing this blog post. Okay, cool. Takes the blog post, go cuts it up into all your different omni-channel social posts that you're going to need, then goes and auto launches those for you. Takes it, goes over to something like what's the name of it, Pika, or Luma Labs, and creates a video for you, AI video based on the blog, and goes to 11 Labs, creates the audio for you, and goes and posts that audio on Spotify for you, takes the video and posts it on YouTube for you. So you write one piece of content, right? That's you, that's genuinely you. So here's this thing of like working with AI and like, okay, well, it's going to take my job, this, that, and the other. Here's the thing, like, I really do. I love not only figuring out, but and understanding, but like seeing and discovering like where that human element is going to fit into the puzzle of the AI toolkit. And this seems just so very like useful, where your blog is your most lengthy content piece, right? So you're going to start there. You're going to write your blog. That is going to then, I'm not saying that again, I'm not saying this is totally possible now, but I'm absolutely going to try to build it. It's kind of part of what I'm trying to work on, not for nothing. But you'll start with your blog. That will then turn into your landing page content, turns into your nurture email content, because whatever that blog article is based off of, it's going to have 3 or 4 different subsections in there. So we'll be able to send out 3 or 4 different nurture emails that speak to those subsections. Then it'll do all of your social posts for you as well, and put together again like a Luma Labs or Pika type video that you could post on YouTube, again broken down by those sections, so you can have like a 2 to 3 minute video per section, possibly even create shorts for you, right? And then scheduled to post all of that and take care of all of that and do all of that heavy lifting for you, so that you can what? Spend all of your time being as meaningful, as effective, the voice that you want to use, the tone you want to get across, the opinion you want to get across. You can spend all of that time that would have taken you days. We're talking about like an entire week, maybe 2 weeks worth of work, right? And now think about what you could do in terms of like writing a meaningful blog post with just the entire day to be able to do it, instead of like a few hours, which most people have, right? Or the
Yeah.
entire week, right? Now,
Yep.
again, there might be some bloggers that, hey, that's what I do all the time. Awesome. Well, now you can do it and get your content out there faster,
Right.
right? And since you do it all the time, you're already at the level of my stuff's quality. So you're already way ahead of the game, right? It doesn't put people who are there already out. It emboldens you, it makes you better. But it does also help people enter into the space and get into the space as well. So, I mean, it's effective all the way around, but the whole point is it's just doing heavy lifting for you. It's not actually taking anything away. It's still your content. You still have to edit it. You still have to be in control.
Yeah. And yeah, almost anything that you can think of when it comes to mind, you're like hamster wheel, like that
Hmm.
1 to 2 week process. What happens in real life, right? So if we're good, it for the people who are good, not great, but good,
Right.
spend their time creating content and then putting effort into distribution of the content. We
Yep.
do that for 2 weeks, then we start on the next one. And there's
Yep.
no time for engagement and insights. And we say, like, okay, once a month, once a quarter, we're going to look at how this stuff is performing. We
How do you
never
take a
get there,
vacation?
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So we don't get to that end point. We just keep creating, we keep distributing, and leave it up to fate, which can work out if it's 100% value all the time. Like
Right.
it is a thing, but how much more value could we be getting and giving at the same time, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody knows that some of the best content comes from the questions and answers in response to these posts. And like, as we talk about it out loud, it's going to be so easy to just like build everything around this engagement activity that is the most valuable part. Everything, including like how you show up, every day,
Mhm.
but also the ability to be like, Marcus Sheridan is so good at doing this where you can tell he just got out of a talk. He just gave a talk, pulls up the phone, does a video. Hey, somebody asked this question. Here's what I told them. That's the whole
Mhm.
content, right? Now imagine if it's like real time and somebody else is on his team listening to that talk and there's audio being recorded and it's like click make some content. Like that's not
Right.
that far off from what George did to support his talk at at Inbound.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's if we can do it there, then we can do it on social. And this real time like engagement plus leverage,
Yep.
man, it's gonna
I'm
be
I'm looking
powerful.
forward to something where, because one of the one of the most time consuming things for me when it comes to editing is track marking, right? And having to like mark where I'm going to make the cut, right? So I would love it if we just got rid of the edit altogether, right? So like have an app that pre-processes great audio, pre-processes great video, has the ability to track um, body movement, right? So it can leverage your camera in order to do that. There's plenty of camera apps that can leverage leverage the physical camera to do different things. And Samsung has that capability, so it shouldn't be an issue. And then live, right? So your stuff's already there. You can select filters if you need to and that kind of thing. But live, to be able to like, wherever there's a almost like a stopwatch, right? To be able to like hit a point, let it play, and then hit it again, and it just autos, while you're still shooting the video, it just packages that up, puts the captions on it, the style captions, stuff you would like preset, right? So this is maybe like a producer thing, but it could definitely be run off your phone, right? And you're just sitting there on a tripod, just tap, 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 and then boom, that's a clip that gets, oh, because you did it in under a minute, it understands vertical clip less than a minute. Let me make this into a short. I'll go post that on,
Mhm.
whatever, on Twitter and or not Twitter, but I'll go post it on Twitch and uh,
TikTok.
no, TikTok is what I'm
There
thinking
you
of.
go.
Yes,
The other
so
T.
many of the outlets. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to something like that where it's, take the content creation part of it, especially for video, and make it so easy that it is like one touch action, right? And it should be the case where like, okay, now that maybe you can connect that into your website backend. So like you've posted the video and then the transcript from the video gets turned into a blog that, come populates on your page. Right.
Yeah.
Or the other
And
way around. What George did was perfect, right? Recording the entire thing, turning that into a blog post, which also had a audio clip to it. So it was automatically set up to be, listenable podcast as well. And then from that, yeah, absolutely, you kick that over to Pika Labs or whatever and create a video snippet from it if you needed to. Right.
yeah. And as we keep moving here uh in this unboxing, like I'm gonna continue connecting these dots because I know not everybody does. A lot of what we talked about, a lot of the mechanisms like are available in Content Remix
Mm-hmm.
already. And when you saw on the bottom, you see on the bottom of these screens, built, you know, by Dharmesh with HubSpot CRM with love, like what we're showing, how much of that makes it in, how much of it, stays out. Like this whole idea, of making this easier, continuing to make this easier for all of us who are trying to, use it or help other people use it. Like this is why this is, powerful. You need to pay attention to it. It's going to keep like coming at you, whether you want to or not. So just kind of that just keep that in mind as we're showing off. Like this is not, it is the realest, I've seen of the future is now. Like this is not far away. It's right here, right now.
Very much so. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of it, the actual flow. And it works very much like a stack. So you're literally just adding actions and you're stacking them in here and sort of deciding where you want them to be. And when it comes to a particular action, you're going to notice these highlighted parts here. The highlighted parts indicate that there is a variable that I've created as a result of that action. So let's take a look at the first one. First one is a radio select input type. So you can change the property input type that you want. Then the options for that, you can see each new line is a new option. So we've made a few options to put in there. And then if we wanted to, we could insert a variable if we needed to that would come from something previously. But really, the user prompt is just something that you're prompting to the user. You're telling them. So glad that it says user prompt because now everybody can understand that prompting is not something that's specific to you giving a model an instruction,
Yeah.
right? If you are
Not
talking to the model, you are prompting the model, right? So
yeah, not
that's
specific
just
to AI. We prompt
no,
humans every day.
all the time. So then you have a default value that you can fill in if you want to. You don't have to. Um, check whether or not that's a required value for going forward, and then you're capable. You don't, which you should, even if you don't want to give it a variable output name. And the reason that you want to do that is so that it can store this value. And so that's why it's required because okay, it's cool that you're giving them the option, but we can't do anything with it if you're not actually storing it to go anywhere else.
Yep. And with that, just connecting more dots,
Yep,
internal names of properties in HubSpot. That's what
exactly.
that's what is happening there.
So we've got one for type. And so this is made to be a campaign generator, like just like a not even campaign. It's made to be a master growth accelerator. So it's made to literally develop and design everything that you would need to approach a new business with growth acceleration strategy. Um, it's not complete yet, and I'm just messing around just to learn the mechanics. So please don't beat me up over we don't do this and we don't check that and all that.
Consider
Um,
me the bouncer. You're good.
awesome. So we look at type of campaign. We're looking at the target audience. We're looking at the industry, the goal, channels, budget, timeline, and product. And so, with all of that information that we garner from the user that they make selections from, now we start to process it. So, in the processing is where we can invoke an outside agent and we can choose whether we want to use GPT, if we
Oh
want
my
to use 4.0
gosh.
mini. To be honest with you, let's try it using O1 preview because that's going to be monstrous. Um, and then we give it the prompt. So, exactly what we want the model to do. This is the only programming aspect of it is curly braces around your variable. That's it. That's all I've had to write. That's the only thing that's like not normal language. That's the only aspect. Outside of that, everything else is just same as you would normally, right? And if you're going to tell me that putting a prompt into a GPT that you're sending direction to is coding, I'm going to go tell you to get a life because come on now, like how much more can it do for you guys? Like eventually it's getting to the one button, but I'll show
Yeah.
you something in a second actually that'll make you think twice about that statement.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, so
So,
these are like just like any email template, snippet, whatever you've created in HubSpot, these are
yeah,
tokens based on properties, right? Same thing. And so back to the other comment of if you don't like create that in that moment of um creating the output variable,
mm,
right? It's not, you can't action on it. You can't use it
right,
anywhere else. It might be in the system somewhere, but you're not gonna, you can't use it. So as you guys think about this stuff in terms of, let's go all the way towards your paper processes that we're trying to bring digital and trying to help people move forward. Like, it's not just you do the paper process and then you find a place to put the information, just like to make somebody else happy, because then we can't report on
right,
it. We can't use it in workflows. We can't now, we can't support all this cool AI stuff that we're doing. So this kind of, here's where the data is going to be stored. This is how it's going to be stored. This is what it means to the system. All of that stuff
Mm,
is super important. And honestly, like we just saw, doesn't take that long, right?
no, not long at all. And even when it comes to building your prompts, even like if you went to inbound, then you heard the same advice I've been telling people for the last year and a half. These models know what they want. They know what they like. So nobody knows how to prompt the model better than the model itself, right? So
Yeah.
if you are trying to develop a prompt for use with this, you can absolutely tell it. You'll have to give it the list of the variables the way that they're written. But after you give it the list, you're good to go in that conversation window within GPT. So you can GPT, Claude, whoever you want to use. So you can tell it, hey, create me a set of instructions to do this, that, or the other that leverages some of these variables, whichever ones you think are best, in order to give it the most context and detail. And it'll go ahead and do that. And that's how I ended up with this. If you think that I sit down and write these things out like word for word and I'm sitting here, I think this was the right word to put here. No, I'm not doing that. I'm letting the model decide for itself, like, yeah, no, this is what I would rather hear in this space. And further than that, once you've developed the prompt, take one more step. Ask it, hey, is this the best you can do? Or could this be any better? Right. And it'll probably come back with something better. And then ask it again, be like, is this the maximum level of effectiveness, or could we make it even more effective than this? Like, you don't have to, but let's see if we can. And it'll either it will or it won't. But that's the whole point. Like, push it, push it to the limit, right? And find out what you could actually get accomplished, because every rendition of that prompt is going to be a little bit better than the one before it in terms of more concise, better context, better framing. And you'll eventually end up with something that gives you that magnanimous output. So I was only using 4.0 before, and I'm using 0.1 preview now. For those that don't know, it's a crazy difference between the two. One has reasoning, the other one doesn't. So I really want to see what the plans look like when there's a little bit of reasoning behind it. So all of this is going to come back. Whatever the result is of this is going to come back as the competitor identification. Okay. So we're going to say default. I want to show that output. So I'm going to save this. And so then there's another aspect where it's literally just show user the output of competitor identification. And when it comes to this stuff, right, you're like, oh man, I got to rewrite the curly brackets. No, if you've already put them in from the earlier
Yes.
stuff we set up, you just drop them in, baby. Just drop them in. And if you wanted to, yes, you can definitely create snippets and you can just use those instead. If you have user context, these are just like default stuff. I'm sure they're going to add more to this. But even still, like, it's a lot easier than you think it is. They're, like I
Yeah.
say, it's really, really, really no code. Um, okay, we've got one for competitor identification, we've got one for competitor strategy, insights and analytics, growth strategy. I'm just gonna change the engines on these real quick because I did not see O1 preview in there yesterday.
Literally, that's how fast we're moving here. Um,
I know.
so I'm gonna take a moment on that for anybody still watching, and I'll just say that's been surprising. Like we can get a little carried away on these shows because once a week is not nearly enough, and we want to talk about all the things. Uh, but there's definitely people reaching out. Clearly, they have watched at the 100 or the 1 hour 15 mark, right? So this is fun to be able to do, but we do understand that that's not consumable for everybody, and if our goal is to help, everybody wake up, if you will, to AI, we're going to start doing this daily next week. And it's really exciting. Me, Nico, and George B. Thomas wake up with AI starting next week. Going to do our best to fit it into, 20 to 30 minutes. Um, but there's so much going on right now. If we're not hitting this every day, we're not, sharing, we're not highlighting all the information needed to help you succeed, with AI, and also help you wake up. Like, uh, this came from, uh, in the same day. I think all three of us might have used the language separately. Like, how do we
Yep.
help people wake up to AI? So we're gonna put our best foot forward and start showing up every day for you guys. And we're really excited. It's gonna be. I know we're gonna have a good time, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but hopefully we create some value for you guys too. If I could just, it's gonna like gonna bottle up everything that Nico and George have done this week to just completely blow my mind, and that's gonna be every day in this show. So very excited to bring that to life.
I'm looking forward to it, man. Like it's gonna be it's awesome. It's gonna be the Three Musketeers for sure. Okay. Um and I'm like I'm crazy excited about it. I really
Yeah,
I
7
love
a.m.
talking
Central,
AI.
8 a.m.
Yep.
Eastern. Um, there's so many, like another thing that led to it is, more than one app builder, like per day, showing up. This is what we're doing for HubSpot. Like, uh, just so many people working on this activity, working on creating value out of AI.
Hmm.
That next level is really distributing the knowledge related to how to use all this stuff, right? We've got
Yeah.
to cross that gap. It's a really big gap right now. Um, but all it takes is just seeing this stuff a couple times and walking through like we are doing here to really understand that it's easy. You can do it, and you should do it. Um, and I think on that note, I think we're going to help some people who are creating these apps as well to be like, have you seen Agent AI? Like, sounds a lot like what you're building right now.
Hmm.
And you might not want to compete directly with the thing that's going to allow people to skip all the steps that you're putting into your app. Um, but we'll see. Maybe I'm not super clear on all these use cases, but I have a feeling there's a lot of people developing, again, point solutions when things like this builder that we're showing are giving basically platform level solutions in one AI package.
Yeah, so I do want to run this because I actually just before we started this, I threw in calling another agent. So after all of this is done, it calls in this prospecting agent and leverages the competitor identification that we put together up here to then prospect. I'm going to assume that's the way it works. Again, I'm just playing around, and then going to show the results of the prospect that was done uh, on that data. So
Awesome.
we'll go ahead. Oh, so the last thing, because of the whole no code thing, that if you didn't know and you didn't want to click around and you don't want to do all that kind of stuff, I'm not saying it's extensive because I did try to do some complicated actions and it's like but you can
Describe.
definitely do stuff like show whatever CP type to the user. So I've fingers crossed.
And this is like the bridge that has not been available before.
Boom.
Like getting help from the tool to use the tool, right? Like
Right.
like trusted help, like knowing that if you iterate and you learn, you will get there versus like half my job as a HubSpot coach, like maybe I should be concerned, is helping people not try it 10 different ways to find the right way, right?
Right.
Because most people aren't even going to try. They'll just try it one or two times, not working. And then they think, it's not supposed to work for them or they don't have the right level of HubSpot or, all these things, right? This is that bridge that has been missing where you don't have to call somebody up. You don't have to, uh, you know, um, that gap like is about to be 100% gone. Um, right now, there's lots of different bridges you can walk across to get there.
Yeah, for sure. And it's, it's time to shed that concern and that worry about getting into this stuff, and about like, oh, I don't know, and well, I'll get to it when I get to it, and I don't really have the time. George said something really great at Inbound, that like, I don't have the time shouldn't be in your vocabulary for this stuff right now. Like, make the time. Put
Yeah,
10 minutes in your day, put it on your calendar. 10 minutes. I guarantee you 10 minutes with GPT saves you I guarantee it. 10 minutes with GPT will save you several hours of your week. Just 10 minutes. Like, how does that work? In less than 1 minute, okay? You want me to prove it? In less than 1 minute, go take your phone, download GPT-4. It's free. Sign up for an account, free. Take a photo of your refrigerator, and then ask GPT to plan out your meals for the rest of the week. You're welcome.
yeah,
And then follow that prompt up with, yes, can you please give me the grocery list that I need for that, as well as the directions and instructions on how to make each meal. Done. In less than 5 minutes, you will have saved yourself God knows how much time during the week trying to do that on your own, right?
not to mention all the back and forth with the other people involved.
Right.
It's like, what do you want to eat? Uh, whatever. Like, please don't make me make that decision right now. Like, I don't want to answer that question.
Don't make me have to do that. Okay, I'm not sure. Maybe this
Oh
is
my
too
god, dude, that's an
much.
unlock for me. Like, I don't know how you guys keep doing that.
What's that?
Uh, just the
Oh,
myriad of
coming up with
ways
the
that we
niche. Yeah.
can save time, because that's the part. Like, you think about like, oh, okay, well, making the list is like, that only takes me 30 seconds to do, and it's like bullshit. Like,
Right.
all of the stuff that's like, okay, let me look back at the fridge. Okay. Okay. One more time back at the fridge.
Hmm.
Okay. Do we really want, oh, I've got this other thing scheduled. We're not even going to make dinner that day. Right. So I
Here's
got,
one for you. Uh, take a picture of your fridge just after you go to the grocery store. Take a picture of your freezer. Okay. Next week. And what do we need to get? Well,
take
take a
another
new
picture of
picture of your
what's missing.
fridge,
Oh my
put both of those
gosh.
pictures in there. Hey, what do I need to get from the grocery store? Make me the list and give me the quantities, right? Because maybe you're only missing 2 lemons and you need to buy 2 more, or you're missing an apple and you need to buy 1 more, right? Like, again, it's like, maybe you have a library of books at home, and you wish you could categorize them so you could find them a lot easier because they're just willy-nilly everywhere. Take a picture of those books. It's so detailed, and your phone takes such a high resolution image that, yes, it's actually going to take the time. I think I just need to go over a minute with this thing in terms of the processing. It is actually going to take the time to um, to read every single title, and then you could say, hey, can we work on creating my own version of a Dewey Decimal System? So you don't even have to like use the traditional one. If you didn't want to, you could come up with your own thing, right? It's going to be a C, product
Man,
sales,
that's
social.
brilliant. Because there's been so many times where, like, especially coming from like the background of manufacturing and quality control, it's like, okay, this is how it works at the business. Like, the kitchen could run this way. We just need to create an inventory sheet, and then we're gonna keep up with it every week. And it's like, obviously, I never get to that inventory sheet. So now you just complete this, like, you just skip it. You skip the inventory sheet because you're just showing visual representations
Mhm.
of the inventory.
Yeah,
So there's
I mean,
no
think
need to
about,
do it.
right. If you own a restaurant, this is the easiest inventory keeper you've ever seen in your life, right? Like, visually can keep track of your stuff for you. Like, I
God
mean,
damn.
it's
Dude.
it's amazing to me, honestly. Like, the fact that you go somewhere, and I mean, Google can kind of do this too if you've got an Android, but still, you go somewhere, you see something you like, you don't know what it is, take a picture, ask GPT, right? Not only will it tell you what it is, it'll tell you where to find it, tell you where to shop online to get it. Could probably give you the web links for it, right?
Yeah, I was
Um,
doing this with my parents last weekend, um, because I think that's where in the tech world, and SaaS,
mhm,
like, it can be easy to, the curse of knowledge is rampant. Um, my hometown is like 100,000 people,
yeah,
and whether you want to call it, Rust Belt or blue collar or whatever, when I go there and I start talking about AI, um, there's a lot of work to do when you're explaining, like, first of all, why it's important, what the implications are, like the the applications of it on a day to day, like that's what we mean by a gap. Like, and if our tech our tech bros are not even uh waking up to the potential here, like uh you know that part of society is nowhere close, right? So
right,
meanwhile, it could add like free application on your phone that we know they have the phones. Like, we know that
yeah,
all the phones are in their hands. They're one app away, right? A free application, like you say, like, and that's where how much, uh, man, how much more value, could be brought to everyone. Like, it's all the connecting the dots. This is where we talk about AI consulting, and where we still do play a role from a coaching perspective. We got to point you to the bridge, like right now.
right,
We got to point you to, yeah, you want to go over here, not fall off that cliff over there, right? Like, stop, like, hiking up the mountain when the gondola is like right here. Like, please,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
exactly. What you
know the
need is right
gondola is
beside
not
you.
gonna, like, it's not gonna break. It's not gonna, like, stop working and have you stuck halfway up the mountain. It, like, don't listen to all those things that it's not working. Like, uh, man, it's gonna get you to the top. It's gonna get you faster than anything, any other way, possible. Maybe even a Star Trek teleporter. It might be a better example to get you to the top of the mountain. Uh, uh, but yeah, man, looks like we got some results here.
Yeah, I got some results. The the letdown was the competitor identificator or identification. I didn't give it a specific industry in order to do that, so I'm gonna have to look at. So that's, I mean, that's honestly a good thing for me to know, because it's like, okay, well, because I need that, now I need to go put that as part of like the info that it needs to collect in order to make this a better thing, right? But the competitor strategy analysis worked out somehow. Um, and so it gives us a little bit of persona development based on what it is we're going after. Again, like, I need to add more to this so that you could actually describe the product, what it is, so that this makes more sense. But realistically, what I'm trying to do is just make sure that what I'm building is working, and what I'm building is giving me the output that I want, and that the prompts that I'm using are giving me the output that I want. Because until I get that, what I like, the inbound information doesn't really matter to me, right? It's the outbound. I need the output to match what I'm expecting. So, this is actually really good for me. Like, I like that we're able to build at least 2 to 3 personas. Purchase journey analysis. Now, I'm probably going to tweak this and make it not just journey analysis, but I'm also going to do life cycle stage analysis, so I can apply HubSpot methodology to this. um, Love this trend analysis and evolution, channel preferences for those personas, unique channel behaviors. I like that. So then we got our comprehensive channel strategy from Insight and Analytics. So it's looking like this answer is looking at this information. So it's saying, okay, based on your competitor strategy analysis, here's your channel strategy that you should be using, right?
Man, this is where like you need to be okay that like it doesn't matter that Nico did not hand type all this out,
Right.
right? Like
Right. Yeah.
he,
Like I was just talking about that in a demo yesterday, earlier this week. Okay. I've done something, Chris has seen it. I've demoed it. I did it for George. I demoed it this past week. I did something that was basically like this, where I would go to your website and I would tear your links off your website. If you watch our video from last week, you'll see the demo. Um, take the links off your site, use that to create a custom GPT in order to do stuff like this. Okay. And what I got across to people, and what is like my number one thing when it comes to like, oh my God, it's going to take my job. You're the editor. You're the expert. It's not the expert. You are. You're the one that's been doing it for years. You're the one that understands the human patterning. You're the one that understands your customer the best. It might try to do that with all the firmographics you give it, with all the explanation you give it, with all of that. But I'll ask you this very simple question. I think everybody gets it when you hear this. If you had a robot replica of yourself and all it had was all of your photos and social media information, would it really be able to replicate everything that you do, every nuance, every way that you look at people, the way that your inflections work when you speak, motions that you make when you move around? No, all that stuff's out the window. But those are very important details to defining who you are. So without those, it's disingenuous. So without your editing hand on any of this strategy, it's a disingenuous strategy. You don't know if it matches up to what you're doing. You don't know if it speaks to what you want to speak to. If you just copy paste all of this stuff, it's useless, legitimately useless, right? The point of all this is to build out a framework to be able to see, okay, to ideate, like, okay, this is a pretty good idea. Maybe this is a pretty good idea. Okay, I like what we're saying here, but we need to change it to be more like this, right? But at least a human didn't spend hours putting it together. Only like you guys know how it works, especially in marketing. You take hours to come up with these ideas only to have management start to shoot them down, make you change them out 6 ways from Sunday, all of that kind of thing. Well, what happens if you could save yourself the time
oh
of
man.
spending the hours of the dedication and the commitment, right? You know the information that you want to use to build out the basic plans and strategies anyway. So it's still got those basics in there, right? It just needs to be optimized. So if you've got the basics of what, management is thinking of and like, hey, here's the cadence that we're thinking of and all that kind of thing. Okay, maybe this works, maybe it doesn't. I will guarantee you something that when you show up to meetings and you have something that's planned out this detailed and like to this level with just even like a good amount, when I say detailed, I mean like for people who love to go into high level overview meetings, this is detailed. This is perfect. It'll answer all the questions. 25% of the budget's going to be on that. What are you going to do with it? Focus on paid promotions and influencer collaborations, right? Like it can answer all of those questions of like, okay, how are you going to spend the budget? Can answer all of those questions about like what are you thinking about in terms of timeline, right? So at least you have something, you have a framework, and then you're just editing because you're going to be doing it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Growth strategy did not come out formatted the way I want to, so I need to tweak that. But looks like it kind of has a little bit of what I'm looking for in it here and there. So I'll have to tweak the output, but nevertheless, just the fact that it was able to again pull the information, the growth strategy pulls the information from the channel strategy, from the insight and analytics to then develop that, right? So that's what a lot of this bot is based on. It's actually based on the same principle we discussed from the beginning, from telling the bot to go one step further with creating your prompts. That's all this is based on. Like the whole point of it is to create an action. Okay, take the output from that action and use that as the fuel for the next action. Okay, take the output from that action, use it for the fuel for this action. Take the output from that and build out the whole final thing, right? Because to build out, you like that's what this whole agent aspect is. The final goal is to get this huge strategy. But to get that strategy, and if you're someone like me, then you understand this. If you actually get the end framework put together, Then you can give it to a model to reverse engineer for you. And once you have the
Yes.
reverse engineered pieces, you can break those down and give them to different models to give you the blowout. What I love, I've loved this phrase lately and it works really well. Give me an exploded view of, okay, normally that's only in visuals, it's only in mechanics, it's only in
Mm.
engineering. But an exploded view in engineering and mechanics means taking everything apart and showing you all the details inside so that you can see every little
Oh
piece.
my gosh.
Try it. Try it. You're gonna love it, I guarantee.
You're saying
So
applying
yeah.
it to these
Yeah. So
strategies,
like
right?
right. So like you say, write me a nurture email strategy featuring 3 emails with growing anticipation towards a product launch or something. Okay, fine. Then you say, give me an exploded view or create an exploded version of email one. You will get this completely blown out thing that's like, here's your subject line, here's your preview
God,
line, here's way more content. Here's some other stuff that you could do with it. Here's some maybe suggestions you could put behind it. Yeah,
I'm
it's a
getting
whole different ballgame when you
emotional
go that route.
because I've been using that as an example of why we can help leaders understand the complexities of building a system like HubSpot that is complex, built to support complex human behavior
Hmm.
and customers and teams and leaderships, humans,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
Because they can understand the complexity of engineering diagrams. And like when you think about building a building, you have every diagram, no matter how complex, is showing the context of the building itself. And you
Right.
have these layers of electrical and plumbing, and but it all builds on each other, and you can look at it all at once or look at it separately. And we don't have anything like that on the customer facing side of things. And like I could be really sour about all this work I've done in Canva to try and create that, and now you hear me, you tell me it's done like that. Or I could understand that because I've done that work, I'm going to be able to know exactly what I want to see in those
Hmm.
exploded views, where the callouts, like how it's going to be translated to other people to help them understand that they can do these things too and they need to, right? To really understand all the variables. Oh man, I love you. I love you, man. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like, this is the stuff dreams are made of, right?
and
And the
that
goal with this
iteration,
is
like take this thing I've never would dream of applying to this thing, and let's just see what happens, right?
right.
And that's like that's as far as I've heard so far, but it's that idea of iteration and like the idea of looking at other spaces and other industries and seeing how it's applicable to mine, because we're all serving human beings.
Hmm.
But very simply in that strategy, like this ability to iterate, like, okay, you've got this whole strategy now. uh Now I want to do like PLG. Now I want to do partner led growth. Now I want to do community led growth. Like, here's this buying process. I want to, what does my sales process need to look like if I care about Bant or
Hmm.
now Medic? Now, like, and you can just very quickly like apply these variables to just iterate. And that's where the human being is understanding, like, I'm not going to ask it for some customer success framework and apply that to the sales process, right?
Yep.
We're still the master builders, we're still the master architects. Master architects, I think, probably the last bastion that we have, as we just started building out master builders like on the show today.
Yeah.
I don't think once this is in place, then we're going to ask AI, uh, build build some agents that are working together. Like, which agents are good to do this sequence? But that kind of
Yeah,
sequencing,
actually.
the processing, the process itself, right? If we don't understand that, AI can help us
Hmm.
understand it, but very unlikely to know exactly what our process needs to be or our process is inside of our organization with the customers we have. Like, that's the part you still got to know to be able to apply this stuff and get the results, that you're looking for. So all comes back to understand your current state, man. Current state, where you want to go. Like, that's it. Like, no world exists where you don't need to know those two things to get the results you're looking for. Um, Man, this is I can't. I'm so happy that we're
We've
about
got
to go to every
so much
day.
to go, man. Like,
Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of
like
cool
even with just
stuff.
like Agent AI, it's like what you're talking about, right? With that's gonna be the next thing I show you guys. It's like what an action of chained together agents looks like, right? So like what happens when I give an action, when I give a direction to one agent who then goes and hires another agent, who then goes and hires another agent, and then they all kind of come back with this again. Like I'm shooting for magnanimous in every case. Every single case, I want it to be as over the top as possible. I want it to blow as many minds as possible. Like just really, like I really want to just tune some stuff up crazy. And I'm just letting you guys know now. We don't have the kind of access yet to HubSpot that I would like to have, but eventually that's going to happen, and we can actually hand code stuff with Node. So going to be working with
Mm,
pushing and pulling data to HubSpot for sure.
yeah, man, that's exciting to think about. Um, and I just had, oh, and like as you're going through that, and it's like this was good, this was a miss, this changed. Like what came to mind, it's like the human filter. It's like, what happens when we ask one person to do like wear like 10 hats. Like,
Mhm.
I wonder how much
Yeah.
of that is going to be involved where it's like, oh man, I got this one agent. Let's try and make it do all of the things.
Yep.
Right. And it's like, oh, missed that step. Let's make that. We need to hire a different agent for that. It's literally, man, just like the real, just like
That's
human
why,
beings. Right.
that's absolutely why Dharmesh has it labeled that way as like hire me, right?
Yeah.
Because that's definitely the way that it is intended to work is that yeah, I'll just hire this agent to do this work for me, right?
Mm, this is going to be so much fun, man. Thanks for diving in
Always.
and doing the first unboxing. I'm hoping that one of the common things that we get to show on our daily session is agents continuing to build, continuing to show what they can do. From really small things to really big things and everything in between. So uh, appreciate you being on that journey, man.
Love it.
All right. So heading into next week, wake up with AI. Nico, George, and myself, 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern on LinkedIn and YouTube. We're going to get it done, man.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.